This is Van Electric Ghost doing a live on the air with Troy Horne, Broadway star, musician, author, dad. Welcome to the Van
Yeah.
Electric Ghost podcast. How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm doing well. Yeah. Yeah. How about
Well,
yourself?
I'm doing good. It's my birthday today.
Hey,
58.
happy birthday to you.
Oh, Stevie.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that Stevie.
Yeah, man. That's like the new that's like well, it's not new anymore, but as a kid it
Yeah, it
was like,
was new at the time. My dad,
yes.
my dad had me listen to songs in the key of life, on 8 track. When I was a
Wow.
kid, I growing up with that, he had vinyl,
Yeah.
he had 8 track. That was one of the first 8 track that I remember actually listened to an album on
Eight
the 8 track.
track. Man, I remember 8 track, man.
Yeah, that
That's
was cool.
crazy. That's great. That's great.
So you've been on Star Search,
Yeah,
NBC Sing Off, competition. You've been
yeah,
opening act for Steve Miller and Gov't Mule. You done
yeah.
Rent on Broadway. You're a father of 3, and you published a book. Your book was called Middle Management.
Middle management is a book that's coming up here in a couple of weeks here. So,
Oh, it's coming out. Okay.
yeah. So I've published also some books in sports and stuff like that because I was focused on helping my kid. We got this book
Mhm,
called Mental Toughness for Young Athletes that's out there that helps young athletes kind
mhm.
of get in the right mind space for that. But yeah, middle management is coming out here in a couple of weeks. So
Weeks.
I'm
Oh,
excited
we
about
can
that.
talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So, like, since you're a creative person, I always ask creative people, like, what made you feel that gave you the permission structure to entertain creativity and being a performer and doing those
Mm,
things? Because some people they want to do those things, but they don't
right.
actually do it. You
Right.
actually did
Right.
it.
Yeah. It started with my mom, honestly. I used to sing around the house a lot, and she said one Sunday she came to me. She goes, "You're gonna sing in church today," and I was like, "What?" I was terrified. Went up there and did it, and people stood up and started clapping for me. And since that moment, at like 9 or 10 or something like that, I was like, "That's what I want to do."
Yeah, you
So
got that feedback. Like musicians, we get
yeah,
that immediate feedback.
yeah,
And you say, "Oh, I'm doing something's going on here. There's some synergy here." It's like
right,
there's
right,
a frequency I tapped in, and everybody's like got the candles up and like waving and say, "Oh, I know, I hit it." You know?
yes, yes, exactly, exactly. So that was the beginning, and ever since then, I was like, this is what I want to do. And just kind of focused on doing that. That was the main deal for life. So,
But the whole idea of like lessons from elite athletes, how did you get into that topic?
oh, so my eldest son wanted to play basketball, and he's still out there doing his college basketball thing. But and I'm a musician. So I was like, how do I help him,
Mhm,
kind of reach his goals or whatever? Honestly, I noticed that, in youth sports, there were a lot of people in the room who were kind of taking the joy from him specifically, not specifically him, but like, kids
mhm.
in general. And I thought, how can I help him fortify himself, mentally during this whole youth sports thing? And we did some interviews on a podcast that we did together called Hoop Chalk Basketball Podcast. We interviewed Chauncey Billups, Kobe Bryant, like all these like top tier people, and asked them, how they worked on their mindset. And we collected all the stuff that we heard from them, and we wrote a book for kids because there were a lot of books out there for adults and adults talking to kids. So I worked with him and kind of made sure the messaging was something that kids could resonate with.
Mhm.
And it's been helping. I think it's helped like over almost like 300,000 athletes out there, which has been really cool.
That's
It's
really
been really
important
cool.
because I think a lot of people, they focus on like one pillar. Like, do they
Mm,
focus on their athletic ability and their routine
mm,
of practice, but then they don't think about their spirit, their soul, their
yeah.
mindset. They're, maybe not even thinking about their nutrition in a correct way. They might like overdo it to focus on muscle
Mm,
and not think
yeah.
about like you need not just to think about the muscle, but
Right.
your mind too, and your rest of your body is like you need like balance.
Yes.
And
Yes.
some things get out of balance. You focus so much, like a musician will focus on practice and
Right.
like the nth degree, and it's like, well, maybe I over practice, and when I go do the performance, now I kind of mess myself up.
Yeah, there's something about that, emotional connection. With music, it's like I show my daughter who's looking to do like music and acting and stuff like that. I'm like, you can have all the technical skill, but if you cannot connect to the piece or to the people listening to your piece, what are we
Yeah.
doing? You know?
Yeah, it's kinda like
Yeah.
that flow state thing. I remember I've
Yeah.
always been into fusion jazz.
Oh,
I
wow.
love, like, Miles, Hancock, Sun Ra, Coltrane.
Yeah.
And Hancock had this great statement about, like, he was playing with Miles, and he hit the wrong chord. He thought, like,
Mm.
Miles was gonna kill him, and Miles actually adapted his part to
Yes.
match Herbie's. And
Yes.
then
Yes.
Herbie kind of wrote this thing like, being in the present moment is actually more important than
Yes.
actually trying to memorize the piece note for note.
Yes.
That if you can
Yes.
feel that moment and you can be in that moment, then you can evolve the song,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
I've always been the type of person who's like, yeah, you gotta have technical ability, know the scales,
Yes. Of course. Of course.
know your capability, but once you get out there, you kinda let you just let the muse come in, or the
Yes.
muse,
Yes.
it goes both ways. Like the muse getting something from the universe, and then you're getting something from
Hmm.
your subconscious. It goes, it's just it's a multi-dimensional thing.
No, definitely, definitely, and it's beautiful when you can let go of that and just like be in the space, like that story with Miles and Herbie Hancock. It's like that's some beautiful stuff when you're like, oh, the chord change, no big deal. I'm not gonna like, freak
The
out.
audience
It's like
don't even
we
know.
go. They don't.
Audience only knows if you act like you messed up.
Thank you. They don't even know. They don't know.
Have no
So
idea you messed up
yes,
unless you stop, unless you look
yes,
at each other and like, "Oh, we hit,"
yes,
but if you kinda can roll with the punches,
yes.
and there's a I think even Frank Zappa was saying, like, he wasn't the type of guitarist that wants to play the solo note for note.
Right, right, right.
Every time he approached what he was doing with the Mothers of Inventions, like, he would always just do it differently. Now, he knew
Yeah.
there was a whole thing in the industry, like, that you gotta practice that solo and hit it exactly the
Right,
way you
right,
mastered it, and
right,
he was like, "No, I'm
right.
not about that.
No, no,
I'm not
no,
about doing it that way."
no. Yeah, no. If it happens that way, great. If it doesn't, great. It was like we're here for the music and for the piece and for the art. Yeah.
'Cause you can feel the room, like, you feel
You
the
can
moment, you
feel
feel that
it.
audience, you feel the rest of your band,
Yes,
and you're
yes,
gonna make it be what it is for that night, right?
yes, yes, yes.
So
Exactly.
so when you try to stay motivated and creative, I know people sometimes they get, like, droughts in terms
Mm.
of creativity, or they don't get droughts. I've run into people that say, "Well, I get downloads all the time, I gotta shut it off."
Wow. That's amazing.
So what's the kinda your experience with, like, creativity in terms of,
As
like,
I said, sometimes it flows and sometimes it knows. And for that, like when it's a no flow time for me, I'm not one of the blessed ones that get constant downloads forever. So I mean, good for them. But when it's not in that space, I've learned that for me, that's a time to be quiet and honor that quiet.
mhm.
It's that's a time to go sit down and do nothing. Maybe go sit outside and just watch the trees and the birds, or
Yeah, yeah,
go
go in
walk
the woods,
around.
walk in the woods. I mean, something about,
Walking.
like,
Yeah.
sometimes, like, if you're in a session and you done, like, take 101, maybe you
Right.
should have stopped at take 4 and gone for a walk.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I've learned to just, honor that, honor all of it, the flow and the, not flow. So yeah.
So when you started, like, you talked about how you immediately got really good feedback when you were young, and
Hmm.
music and art, like, the performance was something you could do. So
Right. Right.
you had the permission structure, you didn't have somebody you didn't want in a kind of situation where people around you said, "Well, that's foo-foo, that's not what you should do." So you had
Mm,
encouragement, and then how
yeah.
did you get to the next level to actually get to NBC and do Rent? How talk about that story?
Yeah. So I think, what you're talking about is exactly right. It's like when you find that thing that you want to do, you get that initial burst of, oh, this is amazing. This is great. Like with my son who plays basketball. When he was first starting, the kid loved it so much. He was like dancing on the free throw line as guys were taking shots. It was like he was in his element. And then I think the universe says, or God, or whatever you believe in, says, okay, so what you want on the other side end of this goal is going to come to you, but there are some challenges I need to, that you need to go through to be able to connect and flow, or whatever it is that you want to do once you get to that space. So all that to say, after that initial wonderful moment, there were many years, throughout that time of ups, and many years of that's not possible, that's impractical, you can't do this, that's dream stuff, not realistic, all those things. And so I had to learn to navigate through those and understand. The biggest thing that helped me through that, after I got through them as I got older, was realizing that those things are never about you. They're never about you. They're never about your ability. They're never about like anything that has to do with you. They're always about the person saying them to you, and they're looking to fortify their own story of why they didn't or don't feel like they can or whatever for their own dream. So if you, as what's his name, Don Ruiz Miguel and the Four Agreements, I believe, is the book. He says, don't take anything personally. And I think that's the thing. We have to understand most of the things, there's some, but most of the things that are being put towards you that make you feel either lower vibration or like, someone's, telling me that I can't do something that I want to do. It's not about you. So if you can receive it as this information has more to do with the person delivering it than it does with me, I think it helps a lot. So
it's kind of like that hater feedback that you get, like, especially with the net. It's like the people put a lot of energy into saying they hated it.
Right.
Versus like the really good feedback, like a writer in a beta group. Get like really decent feedback. Or if you're like, I'm on SoundCloud and you get these other musicians will come in and they'll put little comments on your tracks, and they actually are useful comments. You'll say, hey, I really like what you did here, but maybe you could have done this.
Exactly.
Well, that's cool.
Right.
But just go and say, well, I hated it, or like, you're terrible. It's like, okay, well, what does that do? What does that mean? So that's you.
Yes. Yeah. There's nothing there's no improvement. There's no adjustment I can do with, I just hated it. It's like, I like the ones where, like you said, it's like, that was great. Maybe, this is something you might be able to try or think about doing.
Yeah. Voice a chord differently, do a diminished seventh or something, like maybe you change the key, change the tempo a little bit, do this. It was like, that's fine. Like when you have a good producer, like, comes in, sees your demo, instead of like restructuring your demo so it's unrecognizable and it matches something they've been doing, like it matches all the other stuff they've been doing. It's like their signature. Versus a guy who says, well, I see what you're doing here. Let's enhance your vocal way using this Neve board. Like, let's go maybe do a shadow vocal and still enhance what you did. So making like, secret sauce is you.
Right. So it stays you.
That actually sees that the secret sauce is you, doesn't try to turn you into somebody else.
Right.
Just makes you the better you.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Definitely. Good stuff.
So it was like singing and acting. Are there like, do you do this, like whatever is in the moment? Like artists, they get pulled to different things. So if you're writing, you're singing, you're acting, you probably love everything. But there's certain things you love about each thing.
The thing I love about all of them really is the connection that it allows to other human beings. I am, for the most part, I like, being in my own space and by myself, but I do love genuine connections with human beings and helping and having that synergy with people. And so I love that they all allow that in a way that feels synergistic, if you will, a way that feels like there's something for everyone. Everyone's winning in this situation.
Yeah, it's like a team sport, because like I was talking to a film director and he said it's just like being on a sports team.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to play a role. And in order to get that scene, they got to make, it's like when the team hits that play, it's like not just because the quarterback, it's like everybody did what they had to do.
Everyone did what they had to do.
And, the guy who's, all the people from anybody that's involved in the production has something to do with that moment.
Yes.
Even though the actor might be the star.
Right.
It's everything that whole team coming together that makes it work.
Yeah, we still need the sound guy. We still need the lighting person. We still need the AD to pull focus. We still need,
Yeah.
craft services to have some food so that they have, they're not hungry during like all those things. Yeah,
And it's
definitely.
interesting thing you always mention, why I've always kind of pulled from creatives is creatives can be like in their own presence, like they can be alone,
Mm.
right?
Yeah,
A lot
yeah,
of times
yeah.
creative people, in order to create, they have to have that safe space or that space
Yes.
where they create. Now, whether
Hmm.
they're doing it by themselves, like an author,
Yeah.
they pull from the world and then they have to sit and write.
Yes,
A
yes,
poet pulls from the world, but then they got to sit and put that down. A
yes.
lot of singer songwriters, they might be in the studio, but a lot of times they're in their head.
Hmm.
They're in their subconscious, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah. Then
they're cool with that because that's where they get that's where things happen.
yes, yes, yes. That's where the magic happens when you can have some time to yourself. Definitely,
And
definitely.
that's always interesting when people are like, "Oh, well, you must be really, like, out there, like, no, it's kinda insular." Like, some of the creativity is an insular thing, and then it
Yeah.
becomes an outward thing. But,
Yes.
like, that moment of creation is usually very personal.
Mm, definitely, definitely. Yeah, you want to. Yeah, no, definitely, very personal. Yeah.
So I guess, like, the Star Search is like, maybe what's the, like, the timeline on the different things you've done? Maybe you can kinda go, like, did one thing build upon the other?
Yeah, they were all moments of learning, throughout the thing. Because like even with Star Search, it was, you know, a moment of where I saw the audition, I think on television and a commercial back in the um late early 90s type of a deal, or maybe it was
Mhm.
late 80s or something like that, somewhere in there. Um, and people are like, "Oh, well, it's just it's not real. You don't want to go down there. It's gonna waste your time, all this other stuff." And I'm always a person like, well, anytime someone says, "Nah, that's not realistic or that's not possible," I'm like, "Well, that's exactly what we gotta do."
Exactly where you should go.
Right. So I went down there and I, did all the wrong audition things that people tell you not to do. I brought a pop prop. Remember those old brass like phones that we used to have that looked like the old fashioned timey ones?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, with the handle and it like went down here. There's like a big old brass thing and the
yeah.
little rotary thing. Anyways, so I brought that down to my audition and I sang I Just Called to Say I Love You with a prop, which is something you're never ever supposed to do. But I did it anyways. As a high school kid, I'm singing there into the phone as my audition or whatever. That's so funny, man. And then after that, I do the show. And what was interesting about the show, I went there and I did it, and I learned that there are different elements to being a musician than just being a musician. And by that I mean I'll never forget going on the show before they announced our 3.25 stars, 4 stars, or whatever it was. One of the producers pulled me to the side and he said to me, "You're really good at what you do. No matter what happens out there, make sure that you keep going."
Mm,
And I didn't understand what that meant at the time, but then later I understood that he was saying, um, we need to keep the other gentleman that we're going to give 3.5 or 3.75 or whatever on our show because he brings in views from a different market than you do. So, for instance, he
no.
was a English guy. He was from England, and so he was bringing in international eyes, and I would just be bringing in more American eyes. And they're like, so if we're going to keep someone, if we're close, we're going to keep him
Mhm.
so that our viewership stays up.
It was
And
like
it's not,
it's like
talent is
a
important,
business
but the
decision.
business, right? It's a business decision, and that's because like that's what he was telling me in those moments. And so that was something I learned. It's like it's art, yes, but there is also a business part to the music business, and you need to be aware of that as well.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the thing, because a lot of times, like if you're on the cutting edge, if you're doing something that's not, like, safe,
mhm,
and some
yeah,
people don't know how to deal with it, and you could be super talented, but the algorithm or the thing is, we want people like the Beatles.
right, right,
We
right,
want
right,
somebody like Mariah Carey, like, we
right,
want somebody like Luther, right? So if
right,
you're in that zone and you suddenly come up with something like, "Oh, it's totally different."
right,
Like, I'm channeling something from, like, the flapper age, right?
right,
Or I'm
yeah, yeah,
channeling something from this other thing of, well, that's not this moment.
right,
And so
right,
sometimes, like, they'll make decisions that like you're still really good, right?
Right.
So maybe it's a niche, maybe it's not the big thing, but it doesn't mean you should stop.
Right. No, and also sometimes it means that you're gonna have to build the momentum yourself. I always think of when you're saying that, that kid, Tyler the Creator. It's like he spent years developing music that people said was not
He said it was
good,
weird. It's
and now
different.
and now he's doing the Grammys and doing award shows
And,
because he
and
built
the
it
thing about
himself.
him, he's doing like concept albums. He's
Yes.
doing songs longer than 2 minutes. He's
Yes.
doing stuff that's not consistent, right?
Right.
He's not using the same producer. He's not
Right.
using the same sample. He's not
Right.
using the same plugin. He's actually
Yeah.
playing on a Juno. He's actually
Yeah.
doing stuff and mixing stuff and exactly what people say, "Oh, that's what you shouldn't do." Right, and it's like it's the people who always like Hendrix, like when he came in the studio, he was doing the feedback and the recording engineer said, "You can't put that on record."
Right.
And he
Right.
said, "No, you can't."
Yes.
And he
And we're
pushed
going
for it,
to.
and he
Yes.
pushed for it. There are a lot of people that in that moment when they tell you that that's not proper, they would, "Okay, I won't do it."
Right.
And when the person that pushes it, you think about
Yes.
Dylan. Dylan's voice when he was at Columbia, people were like, "We can't put this guy on record.
Right. Right. Right.
He doesn't have the voice." We have Nat King Cole's, we have
Right.
Frank
Right.
Sinatra,
Right.
we have,
Right.
you know, well, who's this guy?
We
But
can't
then
have it.
they looked at what he wrote,
Mm,
and then it's like, "Look at what this guy's writing." And
yes.
they gave him a shot because, like, the writing was so good
Mm,
that the voice was secondary. It was
right.
how and then it was like, maybe the voice is important because
Yeah.
this is a singer-songwriter and he needs to say it.
Right.
It
Yeah.
became this idea of the singer-songwriter age of even though this guy doesn't have the presenting voice,
Hmm.
he's the one that needs to say it because he wrote
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So that's a different kind of frame where, just, and it depends on what the frame is. It's like,
Yeah.
are you the performer? Are you the writer? Are you the artist director? There's different frames that you can be in.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely, yeah. I mean, building your own thing is definitely something that also you learn along the way, which is really
But yeah,
cool.
yeah, because if you have a vision, like if you have a
Mm,
vision and I think I worry about when people don't have a vision and they let
right.
themselves be molded. So they get kind of put into a machine and the
Yeah.
machine molds you. You're young, you're an young artist and you get put on in the machine.
Yeah.
And then the machine
Yeah.
kind of spits you out.
Yes, because you created something that wasn't genuine to yourself.
It wasn't
Yeah.
authentic. That's why the people
Yes.
like the whole age of the '70s of the Joan Baez,
Mm,
James Taylor, like the singer-songwriter, people dug it because
right.
it was this authentic, vulnerable voice. It's like, "Hey, that's not somebody from, Tin Pan Out. That wasn't from the all those writers,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
This is actually this guy's voice."
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
even to this day, the people expect artists to be like, "Well, did you write it? Is that your song?"
Right,
Is
right,
that
right.
somebody, like, behind the scenes that actually gave you like, in the hip hop world, there's a lot of, like, things going on where, like, did they actually write that?
Right. Did they
Or
write
did
this
they
or is it
or did
ghostwriter? Yeah.
is it actually ghostwriters coming in and doing it? Because they
Yeah.
wanna present they wrote it, but they didn't.
Yeah. 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 It's interesting times. Definitely.
But I'm
Definitely.
interested in, like, Rent and, like, on stage live
Mm,
acting.
mm.
Um, how is that as an actor? Like, when have you done a lot of film or production work that's taped versus live work?
Doing Rent specifically, I can speak to that experience. It was definitely, it felt like you said, a team. If there was an energy on stage, there was a flow on stage between the actors and between the audience. That was just amazing every night. Every time you hopped on stage to do that show, it was like a whirl of energy just on the stage, just constantly moving. And,
Mm,
we were on the flow so much so that, one time, I remember just kind of coming to, I guess, if you will, and a part of the show that I didn't know how I got there. I was like,
you're in the zone.
yeah, I was like, we were just so in the zone and so used to doing the muscle memory. It's like, I'm here. I was like, I don't remember how I got here. It was kind of
That
interesting.
happens, like, but I always like, if you go back and watch a tape, like musicians are asked like, "Oh, you did this," or an actor did something, and then they ask them like, "What were you?" It's like, "Wow, I was kind of in the zone."
Yeah, yeah,
It's like I like method actors are like they become the character, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then every night they kind of decide to do it differently based on whatever the situation is, and they say, "Well, why'd you do that?" It's like, "Well, that's what I am this person,
yeah,
and this is how this person's going to respond in this moment."
yeah,
And so it's a
yeah.
very authentic. I'm not just reading off the script. I actually I'm living it, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. So that was
Is
that.
there
I mean, that was Rent. That was, I mean, yeah, it was an amazing opportunity of connectivity with the actors and with the audience. So yeah.
so when you're in that kind of situation, is there a lot of that kind of like authentic flow state versus like what is actually in the script
Oh yeah.
versus like how you actually carry it off?
Oh yeah. Because sometimes people go up on lines where they don't remember their lines, and so then we interject something and get us back on together. It's like sometimes things just, I remember sitting on stage once, and because the Nederlander Theater was a little older back then. I think they've done some remodeling now, but we were sitting on stage doing the show, and pieces of the ceiling just fell down, onto
Good
the
reaction.
table. So it was like, oh, okay. So, you know, that's, there's always some kind of something that's going to happen. And so you stay in connectivity and flow because every night something new is going to happen, you know, that could pull
Gotcha.
you out. Yeah.
So in terms of like that type of work, did you get pulled in any particular direction after you did Rent? In terms of where you went with your career.
It's funny because I stopped doing the show because I wanted to spend more time with my family and kids and so and stuff like that. So after that, I really went into kind of helping other people learn how to do
Mhm.
acting and singing as a profession, and because that allowed me more time to be home and look at the little ones and my wife and stuff like that. So
'Cause that's your role as a dad. So you had to make a decision. Like, when you
yeah,
become like a father and you've got responsibilities, then you have to balance like your career
right, right.
and find a way like how can I still be in this creative space or doing this thing that I love to do
Mhm.
and still have my other hats on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so for me, it was like, and moving into kind of helping other people figure out that path with things that people told me were impossible. So
So
that's
like
kind
as
of
a
the next
mentor
step.
teacher
Yeah.
role, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
I always find that that's a really cool thing to be like if you put a producer hat on or engineer hat on
Mhm.
and you're working with people and you're kind of teaching they're taking the benefit of your lessons learned,
Yes. And
kind of mold the situation that this person at this time say, oh, I see this in this person. I see what I'd done. Maybe this
mhm.
applies. And it's kind of like not one size doesn't fit all, right?
Yeah. And I get to see some of my older professors, when I'm looking at some of the youngsters and saying, I need for you to work a little harder because I know I know what it looks, I know where you're trying to go, and I know what you want to do. And your hunger and work ethic needs a little adjustment to get to where you want to go. So that's also, a fun part of talking to your younger self in a sense. You know.
Mm. Do you find people today because of attention span and maybe not doing like just an example in terms of like the reading,
Mm,
people today in terms of like do they actually retain what they read, right? Do they understand what they read? Do
yeah.
have they had enough experience like actually engaging in things to not just do something very superficially? And
Mm,
you're looking for people to like maybe you should pull a little more depth and it's not that it's a young person's game or an old
right.
person's game in terms of like what experience you have.
Hmm.
'Cause sometimes a young person can have
Yeah.
a lot of depth that
Yeah. I mean,
doesn't
look at
like
Michael
how could they
Jackson
have
back in the days. Yeah.
yeah, how could they have that? How could they have lived that?
Yeah.
'Cause it's kinda counterintuitive to like, "Oh, you have to live that." Like Jared Kerouac on the road, and some people actually, like, seem like maybe they had another lifetime and they actually did live it.
Yeah. 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 Definitely, definitely. I mean, with kids, I think the thing is they have a lot of knowledge, they have a lot of information. I think you're right. The thing that seems to be something that needs to be given to them is the life experience of hard and failure.
Mm,
That I mean, those things, they are such just like life shapers,
yeah.
and you need them.
Yeah.
You need to lose, you need to fail, you need to dig
Go
yourself
upward.
out of a hole, right? Yeah.
Like in IT, I'm an IT guy, like, so we
Mhm.
always have this idea of failing upward,
Yeah.
and we have a lot of ideas of, like, iterative development, like, we'll do something that's like, you know, we did 100 versions of this code, and the version 100 is the one that really worked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
99 versions kept on failing, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, not that those 99 are all failures.
Right.
We look at it as those are steps on the rung that got to the success. But you
Exactly.
have to actually do the work
Yeah.
to get to that. So that means you actually had to do the rigor. You had to put your 10,000 hours in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had to actually make mistakes
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
learn from those mistakes. And if you didn't make the mistake, you can't just go from 0 to 100 and expect it to
No.
be there. It's iterative, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. You have to have the mistakes. You have to feel upward and learn from those mistakes. Definitely.
So I
Yeah.
like the idea of happy accidents. You know? Yeah,
Yeah.
like, I'm a big purveyor of the happy accident. It kinda, a lot of people in music have talked about it, like Neil Young used to talk about it. And, it's this kinda idea that you could have this idea for your composition, you could have put the bars down,
Mhm.
then suddenly you come in and somebody like a drummer hits something a little differently than what you expect, and then suddenly, like, the whole thing, like, light bulb comes off. It's like, "No,
Yes.
this
Let's do
should g
that.
go like that."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you coulda had it all composed. It's like, but that's not what's actually gonna work.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
accident, it's like a painter that put the brush strokes down, and it's like, maybe it's not what they intended, but then they go with it. "Oh, this is the way I should go."
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Definitely.
And what do
Mhm.
you think, like, with the digital age, I've always kinda argued this, is like the undo button, like,
Mm.
causes some problems to me with that process because if typically in the creative process, you never had this thing like an undo. You could hit the eraser, but you
Right.
could take the page and throw it out.
Right.
But you could always go back in the trash and uncrumple it.
Yeah.
If you have these undo things, then you lose some of that experience.
I think we as a human beings, we constantly evolve through similar stages where it's like we increase the ability of what we can do as far as being edited. And then, I mean, we go far enough back, with storytelling, you couldn't record it. So you had to sit there and listen to the storyteller tell a story. And then we got, writing where there was actually, you could write it down and, there were editings to the story that way. And, with music, we had, you could only record it a certain way. And then we got the disco era with tape and you could cut and splice tape and, edit. And then we had synthesizers, all that to say, I think we're in a stage where, we're going to learn how to use those tools to get back to, um, the ground of creativity, which is just pressing play and playing the music or creating the art.
Mhm.
Using those tools to kind of maybe finesse any parts that might want to fix that just aren't necessarily adding to the piece. But I
Yeah.
think we're going to go back to human stuff. We always do.
Yeah, it's kinda
Always
like
do.
this AI age. It's like, do you have an AI representation of a human or do you use a human?
Right. Right.
Do you go and take a clone of somebody's voice and use that instead of
Right.
hiring them as a voice actor? So it
Right.
starts getting into, like, for efficiency and for monetary efficiency,
Mhm.
do you pull the human element out of art
Right.
so that you can do things, or do you use that as a tool? Like, if I'm a synthesis, right, and I have some AI tool that says, "Hey, I can go and use a Neve board that I don't have."
Right.
Or
Right.
I could actually use that tool to say, grab a bass line from Thriller and
Mm.
pull it into this composition and then use that,
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
me actually writing that
Mm.
myself after
Right.
listening. Like, you could go and listen to Thriller and then go on your bass and then play your version of that bass line, which I feel is actually gonna be not exactly what it was,
Right.
because you're playing it manually, and it's gonna have some characteristics that I think are important. When
Hmm.
you just grab it as is, unless you go and manipulate it with the tools you're talking about,
Right.
it's kinda like, what did you gain from that?
Right, right.
You know,
And the
I
listener will be listening for, human connection, I believe. In all art. It's like we're gonna go through a phase where everyone's gonna be like, well, AI is just as good and AI is this and this. We always do. And then
yeah.
eventually we are like, okay, I need to actually look and see or hear or feel human connection.
Yeah, 'cause if you have, like, AI representation of a human being,
Right.
and you have this AI actor, like an automated AI representation of an actor
Right.
rather than the actor,
Right.
and it
Yeah.
could get really good.
Oh, it can be amazing.
But the question is, like, I think somebody might say, what about like Orson Welles and Citizen Kane and doing it manually?
Right. Right.
There's
Eventually you're
gonna
gonna want to
be
see.
people that like maybe doing it manually, there's a benefit to that, and there's a
Yeah.
benefit to this, and like which,
Yes.
not that you one replaces the other, but you
Right.
have all of them at the same time.
Yes. 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 Human connection will never go away. I mean, because it hasn't. And people always say never, but I'm like, there is nothing like talking and connecting with a human being. There's nothing like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
some tech bro telling me, like, AI is gonna replace all musicians, and we won't need to have musicians. I'm like, "Well, I understand why you said that,
Hmm. Hmm.
because you make money from that."
Right. Right. Of course. Thank you. You're gonna sell that because it's gonna work for you, and it will work for you for a minute of time. But what happens is once I can already see it with our kids. It's like once you spend so much time, disconnected from people, or maybe just connecting with them online or with Discord. Eventually, you want to go out and you want to see a human being. You want to see that person in the flesh. And that's something humans will never lose as far as the ability to do. Walk out and see a human being with same life experience and problems talk to you about whatever or share their art.
Yeah,
You
I think
can't.
it's like if you
Yeah.
go to see, like, go to New Orleans and see a jazz band playing,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And you see, like, that really gritty power of a really awesome jazz band, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
just or you can just go to some tent in some modern thing and see a holographic version
Right. Right. It's not the
of a
same.
replication of that band.
Right. And it's
You can
it's
say,
not
"Well,
the
that's
same.
really cool,
It's
but I'd
really
rather
cool.
go to New Orleans."
Yes, exactly. And walk up and talk to the horn player or the
You talk
pianist
to
or
him, have a
whatever.
drink with them after.
Yeah.
Like, the
Yeah.
benefit is, like, of the real experience, like, maybe you could go talk to 'em. Maybe
Mhm.
you could, like, even just seeing them live, the interaction,
Right.
because when they see you and you see
Right.
them
Right.
and you interact with them, they change what they play.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think the AI is at the level where it's actually doing that or ever
And
could.
even when it gets to that level, it's like it still won't be a person.
It's not a person. That's not how
Right.
the problem that I always tell the tech bro is like, did that AI ever have a failure that it hurt their soul
Right. Right.
or something that
Right.
made their soul happy
Right.
or made any
Right.
emotional thing?
Right.
They are approximating those emotions from a lot of data,
Right. Right.
but they didn't live it.
Right.
Like, they're not sentient.
Right.
So the sentience is the missing component until
Missing
they
part.
actually are sentient.
Right.
Then all bets are off. If they actually are, but then we gotta say they're like a new being.
Right.
That's
Right.
a
Right.
whole different world. That's a different place. That we're not there. So
Right.
as long as we're not there, then we're talking about this.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Definitely. Definitely.
But I think it's important, I think, to people not to just think you create a tool.
Mhm.
It's like Oppenheimer found out. Like, he built that
Ah,
tool, he built that bomb,
yeah.
right? And then suddenly after he built it, he realized what the human impact was. Because the problem with science is sometimes you get so caught up in like, can I do it?
Mhm.
Then when you do it, then it's like, oh, I didn't know it would have this kind of blowback. I didn't
Right.
know it would
Right.
have this kind of outcome. And so, like,
Yeah.
I always kind of argue, like if you're a science person, maybe you need to read a little philosophy. Maybe you need to read a little history. Maybe you need to read some literature. Because if you're
Yeah.
just in the mathematics and you're just in the science, you
Right.
lose some humanity.
Mhm. Yeah. And we need the humanity because we're human beings.
And that's why I think art is so important. That's why, like, when we
Mm.
talk to artists, it's like, why do you do what you're doing? Because
Yeah.
you love it, right? You wanna be
Yeah.
in touch with that in the ether of artistry.
Yeah.
There's just something that to me is like, why do I get up in the morning? Because of art.
Yeah.
Why do I get up in
Yeah.
the morning? Because of like the things that what can human beings can do. Any human being I can interact with has a different point of view, has a different vision,
Mhm. Yeah.
and it's so unique and personal to that person's perspective
Right.
that that's worth listening to and embracing and finding out about, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
what you when you get an actor, you're pulling from humanity. That's
Mhm.
yours and everyone else around you, right?
Yeah. 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 Definitely pulling from humanity is the key to all this, I believe. Yeah. Definitely.
So when you
Definitely.
sing versus when you act, like you're pulling that humanity in like a different way, how you
Mm.
present, right? How would you describe that process?
I'd say, it's a very similar way. I mean, it's still a connection. It's still, trying to relate and connect with people. I think all art, and even sports can be an art. It's like you're in a flow state and a connection with human beings. It's like it's a different tool set, it's a different medium, but it's still the same deal. And I think sometimes we think that because it's, I don't know, football or basketball or music or acting or whatever, that somehow this is some kind of new way we have to approach it. And what I've seen in my life is that it's all human connection. When
Mhm.
you're playing, I actually talked to a young person yesterday because they were like, how do I find a peace or calmness when I go to play in front of coaches, because I'm going to do this I guess showcase in front of some college coaches and I'm nervous. I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
here's something that helped me. As I got older, I realized that those coaches that you're like thinking are like these huge people looking to judge you are basically you 10 years from now. One, two, they are just as nervous as you are because they have to find a good recruit to be on their team. If they don't find a good recruit and they lose or don't have a good season, that's their job. So
Mhm.
they need you to be good at what you do. You're like worried, like, am I gonna? I said, play for them. Play for that coach that you see right there that's sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, I haven't found the recruit I need." And if I go back to the head coach or to the university or whatever, and I don't have anyone, I might have to tell my kid that we got to move and I got to find a new job.
Mm.
And that happened because you were playing, didn't play for them. So like play so that that man or woman doesn't have to go home and say, I didn't find anyone. We might have to do something else. Play for them. Remove it from yourself. And I said also play for the team. Play for these kids out here that are, looking to reach something. Help other people is the key to, I think, all of this stuff. Is my
Yeah, it's kinda that mindset 'cause, like, if you start doubting yourself, that's where, like, you get the trepidation, like,
Mhm.
if you get out there, it's like, you know what you know,
Right.
right? Like, you got your 10,000 hours, you know how to do it,
Mhm.
so you shouldn't doubt that you can do it.
Right.
What you should do is just, like, embrace the moment.
Right.
Don't think about all the things in the future that might go wrong.
Mm.
I think that's where people get down in
Yeah.
the trap, like, you gave me even, like, a business meeting. You get
Mm.
somebody that's scared if they bring up something, they're gonna look bad.
Right.
They're not gonna look smart. They're embarrassing themselves in front of the boss. Instead of
Mhm.
saying, like, "Let's have an open exchange. There's no bad question. There's no
Right.
bad answer. Like, we're here to work things out." If people
Right.
like, if I'm in a room with a bunch of engineers and nobody wants to talk, like, how are we gonna build anything?
Right. And then how we're gonna help the people is like, I think, even in saying that, I've learned that fear and doubt, and I struggle with it all the time. So I'm not like some kind of oracle that has, doesn't do this stuff. But every time I have fear and doubt, it's because I'm focusing on myself. I'm focusing on how it's going to affect, what I think it's going to do to me as opposed to how it's going to influence or help someone else. When it's for someone else, like for instance, when I wrote the book for to help my son, I wasn't afraid. I was like, this is gonna help him.
Yeah, you got a
This is for him. This is like I don't want him to suffer. And it ended up helping lots of other, young athletes the same way. But it was like doubt usually means it's just something to think about, that you're focusing on yourself and not on helping the other people. So if you
yeah,
can turn
because
that
like, people
focus
get
on,
so scared to even put something out. because it's like a comparison trap.
Right.
Like the first time you're an author is like, what right do I have to be an author? Right. So you're like, so
Right.
you're like, you're so scared, like, well, like, am I actually going to be able to put something, like a thought together that string all these thoughts together
Mhm.
and make a narrative that makes somebody want to stay in the book?
Right. And I like to say, like, to the answer to that question is, what right do you have to have gone through something and worked it out and not share it with someone else who may be going through the same thing?
Yeah, because it's like oral history. I mean, human beings have always had this oral history
Right.
before we ever got down to right. And it was always like, the elders always passed down their knowledge.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
then eventually we learn how to write and put it down.
Yeah.
But the oral
Yeah.
tradition, that's why podcasting, that's why webinars, that's why retreats work so well.
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
oral, even though you put it out in a book and you put it into a program and you put it here, people want to see you talk it. They want to
Yeah.
hear you talk it.
Yeah.
Because we really learn. That's why do we have college? Because they would go to that lecture hall,
Yeah.
and even though you have that textbook, that professor, when they explain it orally, is how you
Right.
piece it together and how you
Yeah.
actually, oh, that's what it meant.
That's what it means. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's the light,
Yeah.
the ha ha moment. You're in the
Exactly.
book all night, and then the professor says, "No, this is how you do." But that's the exchange. Like the kid reads the book and says to the professor, "Well, this is what I think," and the professor says, That's a good, like, first try at it.
Right. 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 Right.
This is actually what
What it
this
is.
actually means." And so that
Mhm.
exchange of
Yeah.
you attempting to say, "Well, what did I get it? Do
Yeah.
I understand it? Maybe there's another way to look at it."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we need. We need to have that open framework of
Yes.
discussion between human beings,
Yes.
whether it's
Yes.
like that discussion is maybe a presentation as an artist, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
what we've been talking about, or an athlete. Figure
Yes.
out, because it's very creative when you figure out, like, each athlete that becomes successful, they find a way to interpret those plays with the
Yes.
capabilities of what they have, their skill set.
Yes. Yes.
So
It's
then
all
they
about
find,
flow and
yeah,
creativity. Yeah.
everything's like
Yeah.
a creative thing, and people always like, "Oh, I'm not creative."
Yeah.
Every
Unless I
human
guess you
being
are.
on this planet is creative. The way you get
Yes.
through the day is that you're creative.
Yeah. 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 No, definitely. Yeah. We're all creative. Definitely. Definitely.
So,
Mm.
what lessons learned have you had from the different areas you've been in, in terms of, like, if there were 3 big lessons learned from any of them, what would you say
Mm.
was, like, what would they be?
It would be one. Anytime someone says things are impossible, that's exactly what you should do. That's number one, because it's usually not impossible. Number two, even when it gets hard and gets difficult and you feel like you're lost, the thing is to keep going. There's this uh, there's a saying that says, "This too shall pass." If you just keep going, it always passes, and you always find yourself on the other end, going to some um, amazing thing that you maybe thought wasn't possible or wasn't reachable, just because you kept going, you kept showing up. So keep going, keep showing up. And three, if you can find a way to be in service to others in all of this, you win every time, because service to others is something that's still, as they say, a blue ocean, out there in all fields. You know, being in service to other people is the cheat code, I would say.
Yeah, that's how you can be, like, your own boss.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, once you realize that somebody's not gonna give it to you,
Right.
they
Mhm.
then maybe you need to go in the looking glass self and, like, find that lesson, right? And
Mm,
then actually, because, like, everybody what you've gone through is important, and
mm.
if it just stays within your head
Right.
and you never speak it out,
Or share it with other people that could benefit from it.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing?
that just goes with you. It just
Right.
stays within you, and we're social beings, and so it should come out. Because if we
Yes.
would just have this social mores that make people feel like that maybe I shouldn't put it out
Right.
because I put it on the algorithm and I got 1 like, so I'm not successful, so I shouldn't say it.
Yeah. No, you
And I'm like,
continue to
just
say
because the
it.
algorithm gives you one like doesn't mean that it's not needed.
Not at all. And not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Yeah. Continue to put it out. Continue to share it. Continue to say it.
That's
Definitely.
super, super important. And so you
Yeah.
have that book, Middle Management, that's coming
Yes.
out, like when?
Mhm. So that's coming out in October here in about a month or so. But I've created a free download called at a middlemanagement.bio that people can go and get. And so that's something that people can get to kind of help them kind of be on the journey. So the book is about rediscovering and reinventing yourself in the second half of life. So you're looking to really go out there and find out, what do I want to do with the second half? In the first half, we have all these plans, we have all these ideas, we have all these goals, and then you go do them or you work to do them, and then life happens, and then uh you end up waking up at like 40, 45, and you're like, there's a lot of life left. I didn't really think about what I wanted to do with the rest of this. What am I doing? And so this is, kind of a journey that I went through that hopefully will help people figure out what they want to do with the second half and how to move into that space. So that's
That's really interesting because I think a lot of people found out, like, during the pandemic, like, what they were doing
mm,
when they had time when they were in the lockdown.
yeah,
They had time to, like, think and not be on the rat race treadmill.
right,
And then they started thinking, like, "Did I actually like going to work 9 to 5?
right,
Did I like being in the cube? Did I
right.
like being on the rat race the way I was?"
Yeah, yeah.
And I ended up talking to a lot of people during that period where people started, like, they became entrepreneurs, or they became
Mm,
creators. They actually
yeah,
went and did something that they wanted to do when they were a kid, but the parents told them they shouldn't do that.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
that's where people are, that's the secret sauce today, is, like, you don't have to be what you thought you had to be.
Right, right. Yes, yes, yes. Exactly. Exactly. You don't have to be what you thought you had to be. You can be what you, and there is, man, and at our age, like, you see people that, leave this existence and leave this plane, and you think they won't have the chance to do whatever it is that was on their to-do list. We do still have that chance. So please, whatever you do, make sure that every day you're making steps towards whatever it is on your to-do list that you want to do. Make sure that you're doing those little steps every day, or big steps every day,
Yeah,
towards those
pushing
things.
it to the rainy day, like I always say, like, the thing you're passionate about, don't
Yeah.
wait till you retire.
No.
What I
No.
found with a lot of the musicians I hang out with, like, we all got day jobs. We're
Mhm.
not starving artists, but we're like, we still love picking up the guitar, picking up the
Yeah.
keyboard, or singing because we love it, and we
Yeah.
were gonna stop doing it because
Yeah.
we got the bug and we didn't give it up, and just because we didn't get to be in the top 10 or the top
Yeah.
20 or the top 500,
Right.
we just like, "Hey, I just love playing." So I'm gonna
Yeah.
find any opportunity I can to play with anybody, anywhere, or work on anything, and whether it goes anywhere or not, it's like, I just love doing it.
Yeah.
And so if you stay in that mindset, then things actually start coming to you
Mhm.
because,
Yeah.
like, people is it contagious. Like, if you're into it and you're not doubting what you're
Yeah.
doing, then somebody
Yeah.
will say, "Oh, that guy really likes what he's doing." It's like, well, maybe there's something to that.
Yeah. 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 Love what you're doing, and then, yeah, yeah, definitely, and do it is the other part. Definitely.
Yeah, so
Definitely.
we do have your couple of links here. We have your Instagram and we
Yeah.
have your website. So we have awesomegang.com, Troy Horn. And so if people go there, was that how they get connected to, like, everything in your universe?
The best way to do, is to find my Instagram. I'm putting together my website, which is just going to be just troyhorn.com. That's in this final stages of being developed here in the next week or so. Instagram, I'm always on there, so you can always message me
Instagram's
and I
better.
will respond. Yeah, I will always respond. Because that's my one space that I like to be on online. I'm learning to be online more.
Yeah.
But we're from the pre-online era.
Yeah. My
And
daughter's better at than I am.
yes, 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 yeah. So I'm learning, but Instagram is probably one of the best places currently to
Yeah,
connect.
that's a good place because, like, you got that interactive DM stuff,
Yes, yeah.
and then you can actually see what somebody, like, I find a lot of musicians on there. I find a lot
Mm,
of creators on there, and then we go back and forth, and you can kinda see what they're doing. like immediately they'll have a clip of something they're doing. It's like, oh, cool, come on the show.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
but yeah, I want to thank you for being here on a Saturday, and
Well, thank you.
yeah, I hope you have a good rest of the day. And this is out there on LinkedIn. We're live and YouTube and Kick, and those are immediately available for those of you on those
Nice.
platforms. And we'll be on other platforms like Spotify and Apple by the end of the day tomorrow. I want to thank you for being on the Family Electric Coach podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been so much fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.